Oh, and Lane,
Yes.
I did check yesterday at the Islander.
Yeah.
And they had responses, all yes, except for one.
Okay, so I'll come get that. Why don't, if you let me share, I can just
Okay.
share with you guys real quickly.
And library has 0
Okay.
still.
Okay, so I got from the lab, from the Islander, I already got, I think it was 13. The first 13 I did get, so I'll come and get new ones. Okay, so let me just show you real quickly, because I know Chris especially always likes to know. And we can do, you know, we'll just do updated numbers for the presentation. So right
Yeah,
now, we have 140 responses.
Mhm.
All right.
9 are either flat out no or so mixed as for me to feel like it should be counted as either mixed or no. So that basically is a truly in favor is like 93% of respondents, and percent of population responded would be 14% if we take it as 1,000 residents.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping we can get to 200 respondents. That'll give us a good enough number.
That's great. And then I just generated a PDF of the comments only with just how they voted and no identifying characteristics. I'll go ahead and update this with tomorrow or the next day with the ones that have come in. I've got about 20 something, I think it is, that I have not. I've given the numbers to you guys, but the numbers are not in the spreadsheet, so the comments are not there yet. So I haven't done the transfer from the email to the spreadsheet.
Now that count of people that's deduped, I assume.
Yes, you know what's interesting? I've only had one duplicate.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that person even mentioned that they might have accidentally duplicated.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so I was rather impressed to do that.
Yeah, it's doing real well. I had a very good when I moved the sign from the exit line, you know, where the fictitious population number sign is, over to the Harmony side. When I was doing that, a gentleman whose name I have already forgotten stopped me and chatted for quite a bit, and he was very pro the arrangement. And he was telling me about how in the past there had been other issues that had come up, like even in the past, the just paving the ferry access parking road, because it used to be gravel or something.
Oh yeah.
He was on part of the deal for that, and was telling me how big a problem that was, that people were saying, oh no, leave gravel, you know, yada yada. And very interesting. We were talking some history stuff. He's been on the island 40 something years. Very nice gentleman. And I told him to get himself set up on the website, because he had some other ideas that would be good to explore. Anyway, I'll shut up.
Okay, while you guys are chatting, I'm just opening the minutes so I can make notes here for today, which is Sunday, March 13th.
Yep.
Okay.
Did you all get the latest email from Terry?
No, I told them about it, Chris, but that came to you and to me and to Alan.
Right.
And I hadn't had a chance yet to forward it to everybody, but I told them about it.
Oh, good.
About the council, the governors, I'm so sorry. I actually copied it so that I would know what it was and forgot again. Governors, something of governors.
Council of Governors.
Thank you, Council of Governors.
I thought it was a Godfrey County Council of Governments.
I thought it was governments too. Ments, not governors.
Because they actually have a building right near my old studio, down at the corner of Holly and it's like right behind where the old Rocket Donuts is. that area, but they actually have an office.
Right,
Yeah.
Whatcom Council of Governments.
Mhm.
So we'll study up a little bit more on them before.
Government.
Governments with an S, governments.
Yeah.
Any other business to catch up on before we go through and talk about the actual presentation?
Not that I'm aware of. Every interaction I've had with everybody sounds on par, like Alan with you. It's been good and productive, and a lot of Alan, what you brought up last time was people are not reading everything, and so they're making statements that we covered, and it's just getting people educated on it. And
It's always an education thing, and we just have to keep presenting the same information in different ways each time, and people will catch up with it. It's
So, lots of interest.
Yeah, and the interesting thing I noticed at the Islander on the survey that was there yesterday that I checked out, looked at, out of the 25 people, the one that was no was also just said anonymous.
Interesting. Okay.
So
that doesn't surprise me. I think what we need to do next time is Leica has purchased. Well, no, actually they didn't. I did. Anyway, we've got some boxes with a drop slot. So I think next time we do this, what we'll do is some sort of little piece of paper that they can fill out and drop in. Then I don't think we'll get the anonymous. The anonymous doesn't surprise me.
I was going to ask Lynn, can you give us a little rundown of, you sent an email out about someone was concerned about, this, who's seeing the survey responses and names, but did your email satisfy that person, or?
I didn't hear back.
Okay.
I asked if it was okay, because I sent you guys the text from it, but asked the person if it was all right if I shared the name in case, you folks knew the person and or wanted to get in touch. But I have not heard back. Now I have to admit, my email might come into their mailbox as potential spam because they've not heard of me before. So, and I've thought about today whether I should see if I can find the person on Nextdoor and send them I've got the phone number. I could probably just call and say, by the way, this is who I am, in case you have no idea why that email came. Because the person, I sounded like someone I thought would respond if they got the message. So
Another thing to always remember is that even though the people that you listed have access, most of us aren't looking at it. I don't look at it. I'm too busy with other stuff. And so, Lane, you're the one that's compiling the data, so you obviously have to see all of it. But I'm relying on
I don't know
what you report.
Well, as long as we have the questions that they bring up, the concerns, we can compile that and deal with those, and disseminate that to everybody. And so I'm happy with just having that info by far.
There were about 4 other comments I thought we should get back to people, and obviously I've been out of town and I have not done that. If it's okay with you guys, in the next couple of days, I'll just send them a similar kind of message that says very limited people get the actual names, but because they expressed this concern, I wanted to get back to them. And I'm pretty sure, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I made sure before we started recording that as I share my spreadsheet, it won't have any of the, but there were people I put in red down here. Someone who voted yes and says that, however, it should only be for emergency access. I thought I would just send a message and say it won't. It won't only be for emergency access, and just sort of rephrase it and explain that we're pursuing a relationship with Parks and Recreation, and by definition, it will be public. And do they want to change the vote given that?
Right.
Same exact thing to the second person. Happy to have it as long as it is not on a map. which won't, obviously work. The Parks and Recreation is not going to keep it off of a map, and certainly would be on the cruising guides.
Yeah.
Someone asked about a dinghy park. I don't know whether my response right now is that, and I think I actually put in the presentation that the question had been raised and we had not formed a recommendation on it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we have space to do that.
Well,
You know,
We
we're
don't-
worried enough about place to park a car to unload and load.
well, are they talking
talking
about
about
a
on the
dinghy?
beach.
Are they talking about dinghy parking?
On the beach.
Oh, on the beach. Oh,
beach.
yeah, no, I don't think there'd be space for that.
Well, I think, to tell you the truth, guys, now, and this is something that, we've raised a couple of questions about the county lines, and I'm just gonna pop down here because I'm trying to think which slide. It's pretty far down in the slides. Remember, I have the property lines because we're talking about
Mhm.
I think,
I couldn't tell you for absolute pure certain that there aren't going to be that there's not going to be anyone who's just a little surprised to hear that their property line might not necessarily on this map reflect what they think. And so it
Yep.
turns out that the land in front of I thought the county property ended just right by the stairs. And if you look at this property line, I think you're going to find that it goes down quite a bit further.
yeah, it goes to the next house.
It goes,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
where, so there is actually, here's the platform here, right?
Yep.
This much beach is still Parks and Recreation.
Yep.
So I don't know that we could argue or suggest that there wouldn't be room for it, Mary. I don't know how practical it is. I
The
think
problem-
that I just don't think we have right now have looked at it closely enough or discussed it. I don't think we have an answer. I just want to get back to them and say, we'll put that on the list to put into the discussion.
Well, the
Well,
huge
what-
problem right there is that it's a very steep drop down and the tide comes up really far.
Right.
So
Oh, no
it would be very difficult to safely.
There's
park
no-
a dinghy there.
There's like no real,
There's no place, no real beach.
but what I would do is, what I would like to see is go back to the person and say, define what you mean by a dinghy.
Tell us more. Okay.
Tell us more.
Okay.
Tell us more what you were thinking of, because
Okay.
are they thinking of a space where it's like small little spots where dinghies could tie up to the dock? Or is it actually parked on the beach, or is it on land?
It says a place on land.
Give us a better definition.
Yeah, it says place on land. And I think they're thinking of, you guys realize like Lopez Island has this. They have a small piece of beach surrounded by private land, but a very small piece of beach that then you can walk up the stairs to get to the store.
Mhm.
I only know this because I've seen pictures of it, but so I think they might be talking about that. But one of the other issues is this aerial, interestingly enough, is the exact same. Oh no, not this picture. You know how I found that other aerial view when we looked at the we were trying to decide, how deep does it have to be or need to
Right.
be?
Yeah.
This aerial view was part of something I was not familiar with. And I think that Chris had alluded to it and I did not realize what he'd meant. There was a study about managing this shore line, this sort of, it's not really a cliff, is it? But it's apparently an issue of some of this either receding or falling. And back in 2006, I think that's the picture that I got this from. Apparently there had been quite a bit of analysis as to how, I think they might have shored it up and put did they put some rocks there? Chris, did you talk about this in an earlier
The
study?
Jaegers, in talking with the Jaegers, the county was trying to figure out what to do because there has been some sloughing off there and
Uh-huh,
ways of trying to reinforce that during washouts.
uh-huh,
And that's what they were in talks with the county about, of how to make that more stable.
okay,
And then the hope would be if we get a public dock there, then enhancing that area to provide a walkway rather than on the west side of the road, keep a walkway on the east side of the road. And that helped on that corner by the beach store too, for safety.
yeah,
And so that's what the Jaegers were saying. Hey, if there's any way, and another gentleman as well said, if there's any way we could keep a walk over there that could enhance the bank as well, so they don't lose their property.
yeah, but apparently, I mean, there's already been investment of whatever to analyze it, and I mean, that's a while ago, but obviously
Oh yeah, I'm sure there has been.
the geological basis hasn't changed. So I think, yeah, so I think just to reply, that's a good point. Say, tell us more about what you'd be looking for. It have not been discussed yet.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, because it would really, and it still comes down to what the Parks and Recreation decides to design.
Mhm.
We can only just say, hey, these are some, have been brought up. It's
Yeah.
really not up to us to determine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We only
Okay. I have an answer for what would happen during the dock during storms. Could again, a little confusion here, maybe. Oh, excuse me. Let me drink a little water here. The point about can boats be in the water at times of emergency? And again, I think the question is, are you talking about islanders who want to bring their boats there? Or are you talking about safe harbor? Because of course, safe harbor would be allowed.
I think that question is, I can probably guess who it might be from. And they really have been trying very vocally to try to get a marina built because they feel like would be the safest thing, because boats could be left in the water. But anybody that wants to leave a boat in the water year round, it's got to have rocks in their head on Lummi Island. It's right now, unless there is like a big breakwater development and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just say that.
And safe harbor, I wouldn't even say safe harbor, because in some wind conditions, if it's too crummy out in Hale Passage to go to Bellingham,
Right.
it's probably not going to be very comfortable to be tied up at a dock there.
Yeah.
In Hale Passage, that's.
Yeah, it's too exposed.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Let's see.
Plus, there's the fact that in bad weather like that would cause you to seek safe harbor, the floats would probably be lifted out of the water.
That's right.
Because that was something you brought up, Dave Perry, wanting to make sure that and it's somewhere in their presentation, just because I thought it was one of the sort of the rules of the water, that you can't turn people away in an emergency.
Well, I can tell you from my own personal experience trying to get my boat over to Bellingham in a southwesterly, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no way I was going to turn turn east into Bellingham Bay. I was taking massive waves. And, in that particular situation, safe harbor at this dock would have been ideal because it's protected from that direction. So I think that we could say it's a benefit in certain conditions, right? Where there really is not that many options in this area. So, and I was hoping that would help reinforce, approval of this, because it's just another added benefit to everyone, not just Lummi Islanders, right?
Well, right now, truly the only safe harbor in a southwesterly that I would consider really safe is Anati Bay.
Yeah, that could have worked.
Oh,
um, Or anchoring in Smuggler's Cove.
Let me see if I can mute.
question here also about would like to overnight use of the dock for visiting boats. I think that I would say that right now that's not in the plan, but there'll be more community meetings to discuss additional ideas. I'm really reluctant to say flat out that there's any decision has been made about
Yeah.
much
Yeah,
yet,
no.
right?
It hasn't, yeah.
Yeah, we probably need to discuss it more at a public meeting.
Yeah,
We're,
Please
we're,
attend.
we're just fact finding and doing research at this point.
yes, that's good. I like that. Yes, early in the fact finding, yes. Ditto above regarding a launch. I don't, there's no way you could, well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say there's no
Not
way.
at that site.
I don't think there is, but again, that's, if it's a person serious about it, they need to come to public meeting and have a discussion where people lay that out and explain why it would or would not work, and then we have an answer for everybody. But we did not look at that as an option. Not ditto remove, ditto above. That should have said ditto above.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, any other, I think those are all the ones I thought, like I say, I thought two of them might change their vote. These first two up here. And I give them that opportunity because we didn't actually give people an undecided option.
Mhm.
And next time I think we should.
Yeah, but if we do that, it's we need more of a feel for the general. This is your general.
That's true. This was a pulse. This was a quick take of the pulse, and
right.
Yeah.
If you give an undecided, you're not going to get enough good data. It's too easy to say undecided.
Yeah, future. I mean, we can ask, how do you feel on a scale of 1 to 5 or whatever. But for this one, we just need a yes, no, so we can get a
right.
I mean, I don't want to. I just mean we need to get a pulse to just go forward with does this seem like a good majority are in favor? Okay.
We're going to have a lot of input from the Parks Department, after our meeting, and that's really what we need at this point.
Yeah.
Bottom line, we got to hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
But not for long. We're going to get input very soon.
Yep.
Unscreen share if you're not.
I'm was about to actually. Are people ready to look at the PowerPoint?
I wanted to say, one of the things I'm seeing really, it's the survey is doing very well at so far is actually, now that I've paid my little toll, I can go back to normal here. Is we are gathering questions on things that we hadn't thought of, which is really good. And we've had like a couple of issues in the questions, and some just verbal conversations that we've had. So I'm very happy with the survey so far and what we're getting.
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just staring at my notes. We just talked about the survey and responses. And now, I think mostly we're ready. What's the easiest way to go through this? Is a section by section kind of thing? What do you guys think is the easiest way to go through the PowerPoint? And now I saved this, by the way, as a new version. So this is a version, if we wanted a version that only the committee had, because it explains who does what when, we can have that. So
Okay,
Because you'll only have, so we're pretty much, we cannot assume any more than basically 20 minutes of the committee presentation.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to think about being super succinct.
So are all of you planning on being there?
yes,
And are we gonna want to try to get others to be there, like Nick, who's been here the whole time? Anybody else? that-
oh, yes.
Yeah, we should make it clear. Yeah, if somebody could send a message to all the committee members.
Yeah.
Because what they want to see is broad-based.
Yeah.
A group
Good.
of thought.
Good committee representation, including and I like the phrasing that you used, the committee advisors, I think it was.
Do we want to direct them to state their name, what they bring to the table, so to speak? Their resume that she spoke of?
I don't honestly, Chris, I feel like, and I have to admit, I forgot, my husband has been sort of talking in my ear because he spent a lot of his career as being in university and in think tanks, trying to get in front of like admirals, and he never had more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think just being there.
His idea is you just have to, if they want to know, they will ask you.
Okay.
Other than that, don't volunteer anything.
Did we ever make a list of everybody and what they bring to the table?
I started to, and then I just was going to send you guys a message. I was like, you know what we need to do is because I promised it her Tuesday night. I just said, let's do that later. So I think at some point, but remember, Chris, again, this is their first meeting. We will have more opportunities.
Yeah.
I think I think we should have to be really digging our heels and try to be super. I'd rather them say, oh my gosh, are you done already? Then let's get on with it.
This is our introduction, and hopefully to get on their schedule.
So I think if they want to talk for 40 more minutes, that's great. We're more than happy to do that. But in terms of our commitment to getting our short story across as a short story, I think that if I would suggest that we just keep it super.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So why don't I share, and maybe I'll okay. So it probably is best to go ahead and look at it from a is this too small? Can you guys see when I do the slide layout this way?
Uh,
Yeah, it's a little small.
Because what I was going to try to do is just kind of focus. If we think about breaking it down to the chunks, just a quick introduction.
Lane, did we all get copies of exactly what was sent to Harry?
Yeah,
Mhm.
those links that I sent to you, the two links,
Were
one
the-
was PDF and one was a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
That's everything,
Mhm.
right, everybody?
Okay. Just wanna make sure.
It's also on the main page of the website now.
Oh, okay.
I can maybe somebody else can put it in the comments, because if I start trying to find in my email, it'll take me a while.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Because I mean, if you think the whole entire thing is 46, it goes up to 46 pages, of which a bunch of them are pages that just have like a title on it, but still, when you think about a little bit of
What's going on, Alan?
garbly. Is
Can
that
you mute Alan for now?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute Alan for a second.
Yeah, sorry.
Getting stuff out of his car or something.
So what we might want to do, again, in terms of, if we think about first is the chunking, and then we'll come back and maybe just sort of time frame, and then who should speak to it. So there's the introduction. And then the current situation, which is the, I feel as if this current situation is also the getting to know the island.
Mhm.
And it's something that, although we've tried to provide, honestly, I'm a little, got mixed feelings about actually touching on each slide versus saying to them, we presented, we try to give you a snapshot of Lummi Island. Do you have any specific questions? I mean, maybe it's just to ask them, do you want us to go through slides, or would you rather just ask questions? What do you guys think?
Um,
Well, Terry made it clear that this is all stuff that they're given ahead of time, that from what I understood, it would actually be printed out and mailed to them. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Regardless, they supposedly have all this information. And I thought she made it sound like they actually do read everything beforehand.
Mhm.
So Elaine, I think that's a great idea as we start. Hey, we're happy to go slide by slide, or if you would like to just have a discussion, let us know what would work best for you guys in order for us to help paint a good picture of what's going on out here on our island. Right,
Yeah.
we could definitely open that up.
I think though it's a public meeting, right? And there may be other Lummi Islanders there that haven't seen all this. It seems like we should walk through at least a high level of a presentation, and maybe at the same time ask questions. How deeply do you want to go through this section? You've had a chance to pre-read. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Now, if I understood correctly from the agenda, if someone signs up, they will get the agenda and the attachment. That's what it looked like to me. I guess we should go. I haven't signed up myself yet, so I guess I should go sign up and see if that's what happens. But
Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
I can see both your points, but I feel like our intended audience, the people we need to feel like they are super engaged, are in fact the commissioners.
Mhm.
And the island people, if they're there, I'm hoping it's because they've heard enough, and this is already information they've gotten from other meetings. But
But we also want to show them we're excited about this, right? And we want to. I think we need to do more than just open it up to questions right away. Say, you've seen the material. Do you have any questions? That would just, I don't know. That seems like it falls flat to me.
well, the other way to do that is to say, we want to tell you, introduce ourselves, get this rolling, and then if you feel like that's, once we gotten to that point and now you want to ask, you've read it really thoroughly and want to ask questions. Yeah.
I mean, if we truly have 20 minutes, then we can walk through this. We can skip over some things at a high level since they've seen it. For instance, you could say, here's some ferry statistics. It was presented to you. It's in your packet. We don't need to go into the details, whatever. And, right, just to kind of skip along.
Unless you, yes, if you have, okay.
And maybe if we had like, a huge takeaway for each slide, that might, that might be a.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, details on ferry statistics. You can see right from those numbers, without going through them in excruciating detail, that
Mhm,
every hour the ferry is down impacts a lot of people.
mhm. Yeah.
Enough said, move on. Right?
Yeah, I think if you could just do like a high level thing of that, and I think, okay, the realities of the life, that's the real good one. This is like, we've got this is how many days it was out last year. And I think the whole thing that we want to communicate is when the ferry is down, there is not any way to get on or off the island for a minimum of 5 hours.
Mhm.
With county provided transportation. So I think that is a huge thing to just pop them in their mind. The only way during those 5 hours, the only way to do that is by private vessels. That is, I think that is a huge takeaway. And then there are no easily accessible places for private vessels to take on passengers. You know,
Yeah,
I think that's the huge takeaway on the realities of island life. That is a huge thing. And if you happen to have a flight leaving during those 5 hours or more, if you happen to have a medical appointment, you will not make it unless someone can provide you with private boat transportation. That is, and I think that's just really important. And so what we need is a good landing place that's accessible to people. I think that is the huge message as a community we feel, and many of our, you know, we've done a small survey and, 93% of the people also are in agreement with us that we need something.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you for muting me. I wanted to add that a little bit. When you say 5 hours, that 5 hours is how long it takes them to put the passenger ferry in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is not necessarily all of it, because how long did they take to decide to do the passenger ferry?
Exactly. Well,
So
that's
it's
what
not
I'm saying, a minimum of.
Yeah, it's not just the 5 hours, because, and also if we're going along and they decide, oh, well, this is going to be resolved in a day, like has happened before, it might be 18 hours that it's down,
Mhm,
not just 5. So that's something that needs to be brought across, I think, as well in future presentations. And
mhm.
I'm working on shifting to the laptop.
Yeah. But,
Let's go ahead.
that's, Chris, I think that's like, if we're talking about like the high point things, I think that's the important step with, that whole, this section here. The section that just has the slide with the 4 things on it, the realities of island life. And the realities of island life are, we are dependent on a ferry. We understand that. But when that ferry is not working, there's this problem. And there's other times that, having a safe place for people to land is a good thing. So there's the recreational benefits and stuff like that. But that's really where we came, that's how we started, I think, and why we came together in the first place. I don't know. I can shut up here. I've been talking too
Mary,
much.
I think that is the message about this. This is the current situation, right? So rather than, I mean, we have these slides, they outline all the specifics about what you're saying.
Mhm.
And I think maybe just speaking to the situation like you just did, and saying, well, we presented you some data here about very traffic, the number of people impacted, the demographics show that there's an older population that has difficulty if there's not a dock access. There's lots of businesses on the island that get impacted. It's all there, but maybe just gloss over the details of the slides and make that statement you're saying.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and don't link the inability to get down the ramparts to age only.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, this 22, yeah, because the fact that the disabled population is 22% does
Yeah.
not mean that every person 65 and over is also disabled. We have a
Exactly.
very high percentage
Yeah.
on
Yep.
this island. I would never have said it was that high. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so think about that, and I was guessing that Chris is certainly going to get us started on this, and in my experience, the getting started is the hardest part. So the more you are really comfortable with that, Chris, and feel scripted out on that, and that feels natural to you and makes sense, then the getting started, once you get rolling, then it just I'm sure will feel easier. So does that
Yeah.
sound comfortable to you?
Oh, yeah.
What
Yeah,
I've seen,
Agreed with all of it.
what I've seen with Chris is all you gotta do is pull his string on this topic and he'll just take off. I'm not
Okay.
worried about Chris pulling off a good
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
So
No,
that
I
sounds
have
good.
no worries about that at all.
Yeah.
No.
I was muted when you were talking about, whether to go over the slides or not. I personally think it's a good idea to whip through them. And, because you do want as much time as possible for questions. And they will have printed copies in front of them, from what I understand and from what I'm familiar with. So, yeah, if you can hit the high points as you just go through the slides, I think that'll do real well. But
Yeah,
the
you might-
presentation is great.
You could just state that since you have copies and you've had a pre-read on these, I'm gonna go over them at a high level.
Yep.
And then if you have specific questions during Q&A, we'll return to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Or yeah, and other way to do that is, because it's broken up by the first is the current situation. It's always a little risky if you start asking questions this early that you're about to
Yes.
cover anyway.
Yep.
But you just want to sort of have that hesitation to say, that wraps up the current situation. What we want to talk about is what did we explore for solution? So let and so that was 5. I'm just sort of counting in terms of getting us an idea of volume of material. So that was 5 slides.
Mhm.
Proposed solution. And once we get a feel for this too, we'll come back and see if there's any particular ones that Chris feels like this would be a good time to introduce one of the other committee members to handle this. Proposed solution. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the longest, isn't it? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this is probably the longest. And I think, again, the most critical for setting the stage.
Mhm.
I will personally anticipate that we'll come back probably over and over again to the emergency versus urgent access, but
Mhm.
at least you'll set the stage for it.
Yep. That's an important definition.
Any other? Do you want me to? I can show you the the full page, let's see here. So you get an idea of what the other content of the page was.
Well, I'd like to make a comment here. If we're talking about handing over different sections to people to present, I think this one in particular would benefit from Chris and or Nick to present because of the high risk activity stuff. You guys are
yeah,
firefighters,
yeah.
you've been there,
Yes.
done.
You
I
bet.
think that would be a great opportunity to drive that home.
Yeah.
From a, somebody with credibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe not the whole section, but at least that part of it would be good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it does need to be scripted as to who's going to do what.
And some of these are very brief. I think the picture pretty much tells you what you need to know
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
these.
Yeah, and if they have a question, there's a page number on each one of them, so they
Uh-huh.
can
Mhm.
just say on this page of the presentation, and that Chris can just flip to it on his piece of paper that he's got and
Mhm.
go from there.
And we'll decide who's driving slides.
I would hope Nick again. But we also again still have to have the alternates.
Yeah. Everybody ready in case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scale comparison and then this guesstimate for shoreline.
Back up
Yeah.
on this one. Wasn't there discussion about straightening out that illustration on the right-hand side of where the proposed would be so that it was more straight with the stairs?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
With the stairs. I thought it was the platform. It's with the stairs.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what Chris was saying.
Like, yeah, basically the line out in the water should be about where the L is.
L
Ariel.
Oh, in aerial.
letter.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
in Arial?
Yeah, in the caption.
So the beach stays the same, and just
Yeah.
that end out in the water needs to go to the L.
To
There you go. And
You're
then slide
saying-
it over.
Closer.
Little
Hold
more.
it, yeah, hold the platform, hold that end at the top
Yeah,
end
she
at the
can't.
platform
It
and
doesn't work
grab the
that way.
bottom,
He's just got to, he has to rotate the
And
whole thing first.
rotate. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is a
That's
little
just
more.
limitation of, okay. So I've got it at the platform,
Little
and
further.
a little more rotation.
more rotation.
Mhm.
I guess you could find exactly if you just superimposed over.
Right. Well, no, go back.
Right. I'm confused as to, are you saying because of the stairs? Because I took it from here and I said, I pasted it on top of here and I just moved it straight
Yeah,
over.
but Chris is recommending that it goes.
Pictures off a little bit. Each picture are not exactly oriented the
They're
same, so.
not showing the same
Okay,
same
so are
thing.
you saying you also should be a little shorter? Is that what you mean?
No,
That's better.
Mm-hmm.
But what?
I'd go over to left just a little bit.
So just swing this end. So you're saying move it south or north?
North.
Okay.
But now at this point, it's just the dock
Right
end.
there.
That looks right there. That works.
Okay.
That looks perfect.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
Can't read aerial anymore.
well,
So,
she'll
yeah,
superimpose it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Brilliant.
But they've already got the one that's not right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like. we can go out and do
Well,
it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you
that's-
just tell them, by the way, if anyone noticed,
yeah,
this diagram has been corrected. No,
Yeah,
I thought you were saying to make it parallel. I thought you were saying make it parallel, which is what I was doing. I was treating it as keeping
Yeah,
the same
no.
angle.
yeah, parallel to the stairs. And they're gonna be changes anyway, because we would assume, Lane, you're gonna update the pie chart.
Yeah, so our copy will be version 6 and their copy will be version 5. Yeah. Okay. So, hang on, let me get my. All righty. So did we get the, sorry. Jumped way down because okay, so back, so here is our comparison. Here is our
Mhm.
shoreline.
Mhm.
And here is our benefits. Was there another question?
There was that thing about, there was one comment, I think, either somebody mentioned to me or I read, about the superstructure in that.
Oh, they were so sure that we were going to turn around and build this.
Yeah.
giant- Uh-huh.
I think we probably need to stress that that's even more so that that's like not the case.
Okay, so right now, so that one is actually, we haven't gotten quite to the design yet, Alan. We're up in the
Right.
proposed solution, but the high
Okay.
level, what is the solution about?
I saw it for a second on screen.
Yeah.
So when you were scrolling, so.
Okay. All right, so there's the current, okay.
Yeah.
All righty. And we don't have much on the history yet. Again, I think we'll wait until we get.
Can
more
you
time. What's
flip
that? Back
back
up?
one?
Uh-huh.
You want to change the angle of this the right hand image, the angle of it, like you did for the other one, probably.
So is it something more like this?
Keep going.
Little
Keep going.
more
Hang on a second, let me-
rotation.
I just have to zoom in more so we can see.
Yeah, it's
If you keep that west end parallel to the front,
no, a little more.
dock
Keep going.
rolling.
Keep going.
Hang on to the parallel. Okay, so now that's where the
Parallel to it.
stairs,
Yeah,
basically, this is where the stairs are.
Yeah.
Um,
I think, yep, those are the
Yep.
stairs. Okay, and then what?
You want that parallel to your
Rookie.
box.
That, oh, okay.
There you go. You're
and
getting it.
move over.
there.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
much better.
okay.
Yeah.
And that length there is 300 feet, right?
300, the blue, white, blue is 300 feet.
Yeah. And I truly don't think it has to be 300 feet long.
Oh, I don't know either. I don't know
Yeah.
either, but I realized if we just gave
Mhm,
an idea, I
mhm.
think even as
Yeah.
you look at it, you say, well, ours wouldn't need to be that
Yeah.
deep, would it? So I'm hoping that will come across that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just for the comparison size.
just so you get an idea of mass.
Yep.
volume, whatever. Okey-doke. And the little white box, everybody got that the little white boxes were just about scale, just to show that these were decently the same scale.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so there's our public safety benefits. Features.
Love that picture.
The,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how would you feel about, especially with, I mean, think about it, theoretically, this is a nice day, right?
Mhm.
Question.
Yeah.
Did we ever get permission to publicly talk about the one family that had the severe problems because they weren't able to use the crutches?
We ended up not, I think I was,
Nancy,
hmm,
Well,
Nancy Gale
we
said
weren't
that
gonna,
we
we
could
weren't.
share that, said that we could share that.
because one of the ideas would be to tell them we could send them follow-up right now, unless we have it by Thursday night. I don't know if we have.
No, I'm not asking for tonight. it
No.
jogged my memory. This
Oh.
picture jogged my memory, and I don't remember getting that answer, that we did get permission.
Well, any of them, I think you could remove identifying information. I was just trying to
Well,
decide.
that would be just the description of the circumstance would be very identifying. But
Oh.
Mary, if you said that they did give permission explicitly, that's
Yeah,
what
I can,
that's
Nancy said, I told Nancy that,
well, we don't want to even
So-
mention who it is now.
okay, yeah. Well, there's lots of
But-
people named Nancy, so, okay.
Yeah. But if we can get explicit permission, that would be great, because that's a biggie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put down here, I think, future
Mhm. Yeah.
after this next week is to capture the input from the outage and make it available to everybody as a no names, but here's the impact.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we're working on that. That's
Yeah, so we'll tell them that we will follow up. We could send them a link, share via link. So that way we make it available to the community, but we can also do follow-up back to the commissioners and say.
well, we already promised that we would do that. We had a technical issue with it,
Yeah.
which is what Mary and I have been working on, and I think we've got it resolved as best as possible.
Cool. Okey-doke.
But we just want to make a mental note that we need explicit public permission on some of these that were really good.
So do you want me
examples.
to get,
Yes,
to get a
yes,
written thing?
Yes.
Okay,
just an email, something. But
okay.
it would be great to be able to specifically talk about that experience
Mm-hmm.
for, and I don't want to say on video here because it will tag who it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because of
Thank you.
multiple situations.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Okay.
see. Okay, so environmental. Okay, so now if we go back, did I count it? I think I told you there were like 14 slides in this section, some of which are hopefully
Mhm.
very brief because they're hopefully pretty
Yeah.
explanatory.
Yeah. When I read through it, it read well.
Oh, good. Okay. So ponder that. Who you think would be a good spokesperson? And now is the actual design ideas.
Yeah, that
1, 2,
number
3,
31.
Just 5. Oh, I see. There's just 5. There's just 5 slides here. 2 of which are not, I mean.
Yeah, I have no problem with the slide, other than we need to reinforce that this is not a design we're recommending.
Yeah, it says the example is not meant to suggest this specific construction.
Yeah.
So.
But in the slide somehow, because
Oh,
people are going to see this. They have seen this,
uh-huh.
and they're not seeing the note, obviously. So I think we need to be like up front on the slide that this is not what we're recommending. This is an example.
I'm not sure what font. Okay. Well, talk amongst yourselves for just a moment while I think about how to put enough of a fill.
It's an engineering model, not a design.
Yeah,
It is ugly.
it is ugly. Yes,
It really is.
Okay.
absolutely.
You could even
Yeah.
say this ugly example is.
Yeah, really.
Right?
I mean,
Well, not if we ever want to go back to these people and say, hey, do you want to work on a dock with us? And they're like, are you the ones who called us ugly? And we'd be, oh, no, that wasn't us. That must have been
Yeah.
Smith County
yeah,
Good
but
point.
it's
Island.
this is so not in keeping with the tenor
Yeah,
of the
that's-
island.
this is
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like,
This is
ugh,
true. Okay, so one of our next missions will be to find better
yeah.
pictures somewhere. Okay. So those were, yeah, so that's, again, I
Oh.
think,
You know who might have, you might be able to get a hold of and ask is that company that does this stuff. That
Yeah.
remember Chris found, and
Well-
we also looked at they had the segment for sale. Maybe they've got some pictures of a better design
huh,
and could help us. And of course, we'd be
Yeah.
more than happy to give photo credit.
Yeah, it's kind of too late to change it now,
Oh,
though.
not this one, not this
Yeah.
presentation.
I mean, certainly anything that we
No.
came up, I mean, I think we'd have to have actual designers come.
This is future, but I think we just for future presentations, we need a better photo than that one.
Well, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
That's just BFU.
All right. Okay, and so then is probably the trickier part in the sense that, you know, Terry had talked from the beginning about us discussing dock management, except for I just don't think we have much to say about it, except somebody's got to figure it out. Does this seem like an open-ended, you know, discussion? And I think this is
Yeah.
definitely where you want to tell the commissioners,
I-
we assume that you guys have, you know, we don't have any experience with this one. We
Well,
assume that you do.
it's our thoughts, and I think the slide's good. These are things that have to concerns and things that need to be thought about.
And we don't have answers.
Yeah, we don't have answers, but
This
we're
is not-
thinking about it. We're
Yeah.
telling them, we're telling the story that, you know, that we've thought of this, and it's something that needs to be delved into. Because they address concerns of the islanders. And us.
Any other
So,
thought? Now this is a very short section, but at least we addressed it.
so what you were saying, Chris, is the right hand side of the roadway is where Jaegers were suggesting these in that picture that was up top there in the street view. So the
Yeah.
right hand side is where the
Here.
Jaegers were discussing the
No,
possibility of the
east
sidewalk.
side, east side.
I thought it was,
This is the
That is the
east
site.
side.
this is the east side.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, yeah, I when my husband and I were looking at it, the thing about coming and what we talked about last week was a possibility of starting on the west side because the county owns all of this. So it'd be easy enough.
And have a crosswalk
And then
that
have
right there.
where the sign is currently.
Yeah.
It says it's a crosswalk, but
Mhm.
then good luck.
Yeah.
And then figure how you cover this last, I think I said it was 600 feet from the ferry. Now that roadside is gonna be a little farther. A straight line down to the ferry is about 600 feet.
Mhm.
So the good news is at least half of that is county.
Right.
What was also funny to me was this funny little piece that says it's also the county. How, I don't know what sliver this is that the Wagner house is because the platform is here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That is weird.
Mm-hmm. But that's.
I know that in the past, the school, in conversation about this sidewalk deal, the school and parents wanted a sidewalk installed all the way to the school for the kids that are walking from the ferry. And so I don't know where that conversation ever went, other than they came out and put some gravel along the roads and spot, but this would be a good opportunity to upgrade that whole stretch, really.
Oh, for sure.
Where you've got it marked as county, Lane,
Mhm.
Does that have a parcel number?
Yeah,
Which county
it just,
entity
here's the,
listed it? 'Cause I don't remember it being in two segments.
yes, so, hang on 2 seconds.
When I
Anyway, yeah, I
pulled
got
up the
this directly
tax.
from these, see the purple lines, these are directly from the,
Right.
I drew darker lines over it.
Right, right.
But the purple lines, yeah, that's a segment, property line, I mean, a property ID. I'd have to
Yeah.
pop onto my, website and,
Yeah, hold on. I'll go look while you talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. okay. Okay.
Because I have that, I think.
What is that parcel called Lummi Prop? Is that Lummi Nation property?
No, Lummi Property, that, I don't know, consortium, people who, they own quite a bit of land. I don't know who they folks are. Chris? Who are
Okay.
these people? The Lummi Properties Limited, I think it's called.
And you might
Oh.
want to put limited or something there because they'll assume it's Lummi Nation.
Yeah, yeah.
No, this is from I didn't put, oh, hang on a second. I don't think. Oh, maybe I labeled it. Lummi, oh, it says Lummi Property because it is Lummi Property. I think it's management. I forget. They own quite a bit of property here.
Yeah,
It's
but-
from, it's from
but-
certainly an older, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that if it doesn't say limited or something, they're going to think it's,
That's why I asked. I wasn't.
yeah, it's
Huh.
it's a
didn't
very
know.
good point. See,
Okay.
I'm not seeing property segment that I think you have in yellow that just says county is tax roll segment 13923.
Mhm.
And then the Parks and Recreation is a segment 13925. Interesting. All right. There are two different ones there. There are two different ones there, and
Yeah.
I'm seeing it go like right through the center of the house.
Yes, that's why I said, I hope this is not gonna be one of those things that you find
Yeah.
out that people,
Yeah,
um,
unless there's been a property merge or something. Anyway, okay. Something to look at.
I'll change that later. The labels were actually from my, I have software that labels properties and
Right.
it did it automatically. That's where those
Yeah.
names came from. So that's why I didn't redo it because that's what the software said.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay. And then the last section is about next steps and this, and again, I ended up just, sort of backed off on the whole, we don't have much to say about funding because we don't know. That's why we're here. The thing we do understand is it'll be a lot. I mean, it's a lot of, surely it'll cost a whole lot of money. It will take a long time, but I think the whole point of this was to say, we understand this is the first step in many steps and that what we can get started on is the whole notion of getting our ducks in a row for the very, very early stages. And then the information about the marine fuel tax. And next steps. I took the liberty of just putting some stuff in there because I realized we do need to do these things, and I'm sure we'll come up with a bunch of other ideas, but at a minimum, these are the things that we would want to do. And yeah, I will give a new chart for our presentation. Let's see. So these are just throwing out
13923.
sort of, we know there'll be a lot of partnerships and we're just getting started. Okay, so well, people want to sleep on this and we'll meet one more time before Thursday and people can ponder who you think would be good to do some of the other parts of the presentation. And also, Chris, maybe for what you'll be ready if people ask a question about X, you'll call on which person, because a lot of it obviously we can't plan ahead of time because they're going to ask you questions we won't be able to predict.
Oh, I'm just looking at that 13923.
Mhm.
It's listed as Whatcom County, and it's primary property use is residential. Maybe that's what includes the post office
Mhm.
or something, but yeah, it does look like it's going right through the middle of the house.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm just open to calling on people as needed. I don't mind saying, hey, who wants to jump in on this one? Each one of us knows, well, what we know. And
Well-
don't be afraid to be bold enough to jump in there and say, hey, I got this part. If I can't think of anyone in particular. But, just see what Dave brought up, for example, about the research he did and those financial opportunities potentially. That would be natural to call on Dave for that. So
It looks better if you already know who to call and just do it, rather than asking one of us to jump in.
Yeah, and I think
gives a
it would be better
is a
for,
better presentation that way.
and I think it would also be better if we know we're gonna get called on for a section, we can prepare something that is
Right.
short and to the point.
then you guys figure out what you want to do and let me know.
Well, yeah, I just feel like we should just probably all read through again, think about if you were presenting this, what would
It needs to be scripted as to who's talking and when. So we could just write through it. We look organized that way, because we are organized. But if you just do a general, hey, who wants to talk about this? It's not as good a presentation as if you say, all right, now so-and-so is going to talk about this section.
No, what we were talking about, Alan, is when a commissioner asks a question.
Oh,
that's
okay.
when you won't be able to script. So
No, yeah,
that's
but we do need
either-
to have a clear idea who's best to talk about them. Yeah, each one.
Yeah, so if Chris says,
But I
maybe
thought
you
we were
could
going to
just-
hand off in the slides some of the sections.
yes, but it's about 8 o'clock now, and I know I personally am just about fried.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could, maybe people could take the next day or a couple of days to look through it and think
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
what would be good. Chris, you again, you are the master of ceremonies. You do a great
Yeah.
job. So just ask yourself kind of who do you think would be good at this, and who would you suggest, and see if we can just do a short meeting, half an hour meeting between now and Thursday night.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah. I
How
like-
does Tuesday work for people?
Works for me.
Yeah,
That's my only
What
work.
time?
Mm,
I mean, I'm okay with Tuesday, as long as it's around the same time, because I have to prep for flying out on Wednesday morning. I mean, Wednesday.
okay, would 6
I-
o'clock
Yeah. 6:30
on
is fine.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Because that way maybe Nick could come too. Would that work for you, Dave?
Yeah,
6 o'clock, Chris
Yeah.
is good?
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, I'll set a meeting up,
great.
Perfect.
send a link out. 6 PM.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Wonderful.
everybody go to the link and sign up for the meeting, right?
Oh,
Which
Yeah,
we should also.
So that's the question I had. I just went there, Lane. How do you sign up for it? I'm not seeing that.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You are right. You're just going to click the link, and it is actually not Zoom. It is GoToMeeting.
Yeah.
And it
Mhm.
Well-
has to take you. I think you're right. I think that when Terry said, if you want, I think what we want to do is you put on the website how to get to the meeting, Alan.
What you're seeing on the website post is a meetgoto.com.
Yep.
That is a shortened link.
Yeah.
All right. That takes you to their meeting system that they use.
Right.
So you click on it, you say join in this browser, and it looks like I'm doing it now. and it brings you up.
And it will
So-
just start. That's right.
Yeah, and
But-
it's not Zoom, but it is similar.
But for the presentation, when you put on the web page, you say go to the meeting. Do you have a link there for the presentation also though?
Yes,
Okay, so then people, Chris, I realize people, I think what Terry was saying was if she would reach out to her governor people, then she would send them the presentation. Whereas if you just show up, you won't have the presentation with you. So I think we'll want to be ready to just put in the chat. If people say, wait, where's this presentation? We can put the chat, we can put the link to the presentation in the chat during the meeting at any time. So we can.
right,
just-
Gotcha.
right here.
Perfect.
You're right. It's not a register per se. You're right.
Right,
Yep,
yeah,
there it
this
is.
just
Perfect.
goes directly to it. And then
Oh,
here's,
I mean, how can you miss? This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay.
And have we advertised this on Next Door Neighbor, and it is
No,
on Brown
it's,
Betty?
it'll go out on Nextdoor tonight, because I had to go
Okay.
into town today. This was up on the website, around 4 o'clock. But now that I'm back home, I'm gonna do the Nextdoor, and I'll write up something short and sweet to the point for Paul and send it to him for Brown Betty.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah. And Chris, do you want to put it out on Facebook?
I will.
And I'll send you the
Okay.
same thing I'm sending Paul. In case you need it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. Dinner time.
All right, all. Thank you much. You have a good night.
Hey,
Night.
thanks, guys.